Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH, the Flame Emperor episode number 29 based on novel. So let's start. Xiao Yan also looked at his patriarch Golden Dragon King in surprise. Obviously, if his patriarch Golden Dragon King hadn't reminded him like this, Xiao Yan himself would have forgotten. The two scrolls that were obtained from the ruins, one was the fighting skill scroll obtained by defeating the Guardian, and the other was torn by Xiao Yang from the bones of the owner of the ruins. Xiao Yang was extremely shocked by the hardness of the bones of the owner of the ruins, but fortunately, Xiao Yang was able to get this scroll under the baking of Su Shuiying's holy flame power. Thinking like this in his heart, Xiao Yang closed his eyes and calmed down, carefully sensing the scroll in his body that was rewarded by defeating the Guardian. Breakthrough. A wave of invisible fluctuations also spread from Xiao Yang's surroundings, and the fighting skills information in his mind surged out. Secret technique, clone technique. Immortal rank intermediate, this fighting technique is called clone technique, which enables cultivators to create a clone that is exactly the same as the main body by relying on a trace of soul imprint, and the clone is controlled by the practitioner, and the death of the clone will not harm the practitioner. Produce any side effect. Xiao Yang's eyes lit up with just a few words of explanation. Maybe other people don't know the secret, only he knows the power of this fighting skill. This is a clone technique. Just from this short introduction, Xiao Yang felt that it was no less inferior to the soul avatar formed by the Emperor Realm Mortal Soul. The Emperor level Mortal level Soul avatar has the same strength and the same breadth as Xiao Yang's real body. The two work together quite tacitly, but they also have huge flaws. If the entity is killed, then the feedback to Xiao Yang's body is also a huge amount of damage, ranging from serious injuries to the source. The 3000 thunders that Xiao Yang practiced before was a body fighting skill, but after all, it was a speed-type body fighting skill. When it was used to the extreme, only 3 vague figures appeared, which was completely different from the soul avatar of the Emperor Realm. Different. Master, are there different types of fighting skills? After a brief surprise, Xiao Yang also said solemnly. In addition to the basic level of fighting skills, there are also 6 categories of flying fighting skills, body fighting skills, secret skills, attacking fighting skills, defensive fighting skills and ceiling fighting skills. Flying fighting skills, as the name suggests, is that some predecessors used special techniques to temper the wings of certain magical beasts to seal them up, and practice the flying fighting skills to display their wings, but on the Dodi continent, they are basically stronger than Dowang or above. It is common to stand in the air, so the use of this flying fighting skill is also much less, but this thing is also precious. Movement fighting skills are just like the 3000 thunderbolts you practiced, known for their speed or some peculiar fighting skills. This kind of fighting skills is practiced by almost every strong person, but as far as I know, the movement skills are the most powerful fighting skills, can travel thousands of miles in an instant. Secret skills are divided into short-term strength enhancement and some bizarre fighting skills. The two are very similar to the 3 mysterious transformations of Skyfire you practiced and the clone technique in front of you. As for the attacking fighting skills, it is known for its powerful attacks, just like the Lotus of Silence formed by the fusion of the flames on your body. Defensive fighting skills, as the name suggests, is known for its strong defensive power. When the defensive power is stronger than the offensive power, the attack will naturally be broken without attacking. As for the so-called seal fighting skill, it is displayed by the 3 elders of the Mu family as you have seen before, relying on the strength of one individual or multiple people to isolate a certain space. Under the sealing fighting skill, anybody the fighting skills cannot be used, so there is a scene that you appeared before. The Golden Dragon King also smiled and said slowly, although the little Yenzi in front of him didn't know much, the Golden Dragon King was also willing to explain. There are so many types. Xiao Yang couldn't help smacking his lips. After all, he didn't know these things when he was on the Dochi continent. Now that you know it, how about trying this clone technique first? The Golden Dragon King was also speaking out. Obviously he also had expectations. Yeah. Xiao Yang responded gently, and then he also exercised all his vindictive energy and began to practice step by step according to the message. The so-called avatar technique is based on the power of the soul. Although there can only be one avatar cultivated by this avatar technique, Xiao Yang is not discouraged at all. After all, it can be very useful at critical moments, and this avatar is dead. They can't cause any damage to Xiao Yang, and at most it consumes some soul power. With a plan, Xiao Yang did not hesitate, and the huge soul power in his mind emerged. The huge soul power has obviously not recovered to its peak. After all, it is only a loss of an Emperor Realm mortal soul clone. Fortunately, it is not an entity, but an energy clone. Xiao Yang did not lose too much backlash. A tiny trace of soul power slowly shrank under Xiao Yang's strict control, and then was compressed by Xiao Yang, slowly turning into a light print the size of an eye. Bang! The light seal of the soul that was just about to succeed was also shattered. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also frowned slightly, and then repeated the steps just now. It was obvious that Xiao Yang was too impatient, so he failed. With the lessons of the first failure, Xiao Yang is also much more rigorous, slowly controlling the soul power to merge. The whole process is just right. Boom! As soon as the soul light seal was formed, it exuded not weak fluctuations. Xiao Yang also nodded with satisfaction. With this soul light imprint as the center of Xiao Yang's control of his clone, the clone he cultivated would not have any wrong thoughts. The Fenju in the body was running at a high speed, and then the milky white Do Qi in front of Xiao Yang slowly emerged from his body. This Do Qi tempered by Fenju was also improved in quality. The soul light seal is used as the control center, and then the Do Qi is used as the pillar, thus forming a clone. It's easy to say, but difficult to do. As soon as the milky white grudge and the soul light seal came into contact, they were arguing like a natural enemy. But fortunately, under Xiao Yang's subtle control, the soul light seal slowly leaked onto the Do Qi, and then a figure just like Xiao Yang appeared out of thin air. Ha ha ha, what kind of thing did you get? The Golden Dragon King also looked at the other Xiao Yang in front of him, smiling from ear to ear. Xiao Yang was also puzzled, then turned his eyes slightly, but found a rather strong Xiao Yang looking at him honestly. This is... Xiao Yang was also stunned. Although it was his first time trying, he wouldn't be able to identify such a big fat man. Xiao Yang, who was a little depressed, couldn't help feeling helpless when he saw the bloated other self in front of him. It seems that the fusion of soul light and Do Qi went wrong. Xiao Yang carefully sensed the other self in front of him and then said solemnly. Immediately, with a wave of his arm, the other Xiao Yang in front of him also turned into a puff of smoke and slowly disappeared. Knowing what went wrong, Xiao Yang is also starting over. The soul light seal was successfully condensed, and then the Do Qi all over his body was suppressed by Xiao Yang when he passed by Xiao Yang, and then the soul light seal and Do Qi slowly intertwined. This time, there was no previous resistance, the two merged with each other, the soul light was imprinted on his forehead, and the majestic fighting Qi also slowly outlined an extremely delicate appearance. Boom boom boom. With the sound of a voice, Xiao Yang saw the figure condensed by both the soul light and the grudge in front of him slowly appear. A short and small condensed version of Xiao Yang was born again. Xiao Yang glanced at it casually, and then he was not in a hurry, and slowly condensed. As the saying goes, everything is difficult at the beginning, and it is true. It is only a matter of merging the power of the 22 different fire sources. Of course, it will be difficult at first, but after the first fusion, Xiao Yang is using it. The fusion time and control will also be greatly enhanced. Therefore, cultivating the clone technique also takes time. After all, this is the reason why you can't make a big fat man with one bite. After the successive failures, Xiao Yang seemed to have mastered the trick, and then his eyes became clear. Boom boom boom. Looking at the figure in front of him, Xiao Yang looked at it carefully, only to find that the other self from this clone had the same aura and even appearance. Success! Xiao Yang was also extremely excited. Don't be too happy, although it is successful, you must try to see the strength of this avatar, otherwise, an embroidered pillow will not be of much use. The Golden Dragon King also said with great interest. Hearing this, Xiao Yang also nodded. His master Jin Longwang was right, although the other self in front of him was exactly the same as himself, but the powerhouses rely on their breath to distinguish their opponents, and appearance is not so important. Xiao Yang also stared at him tightly, and then said, "Attack me." Xiao Yang's order was only given, and the avatar seemed to be alive. It attacked Xiao Yang. Above the terrifying fist, milky white flames instantly covered and attacked Xiao Yang. Seeing such a ferocious attack, Xiao Yang also nodded in satisfaction, and then the terrifying fist was also in vain. He also knew that although it was a clone, the fist he had just displayed was not far behind. It seems to be a success. Although it has experienced a lot of failures, it is fortunate that it is a success, and it seems that this clone is really good, and the most important point is that the soul power is weaker than yours. I can't find the flaw in this clone. The Golden Dragon King said with satisfaction. Xiao Yang also nodded in satisfaction, and then muttered to himself, "How can I take this back?" After all, Xiao Yang tried it, but this avatar could not be put into the ring, which made Xiao Yang stumped. He couldn't always take him by his side in the future, or it would be condensed during the battle, but that would be rare. There was a suddenness, and Xiao Yan also believed that others were not fools in the future battles, and would definitely not give Xiao Yan such an opportunity to consolidate his avatars in the battle. Then Xiao Yan's mind moved, and Xiao Yan's eyes dimmed in front of him, and immediately disappeared into a stream of light. Where did it go? Xiao Yan was also frightened by this sudden scene, and then carefully felt where the clone just now went. After feeling it carefully, Xiao Yan also discovered that the clone he had just cultivated was lying quietly in his soul realm. Come out. Following Xiao Yan's order, the avatar also appeared in front of him. Xiao Yan was also surprised, because he had never heard that the soul realm can hold things. The soul realm has always been the most vulnerable part of human beings, and this cannot tolerate any loss. Hey, you don't know this, the human soul is the most vulnerable place, but after cultivating the soul power will change, from the original soul power to the soul realm, and the legendary Fairylander soul is even more powerful. Turning over the rain is an instant thing. The soul realm can accommodate some other souls in addition to its own soul power, but unless the host allows it, other souls cannot live in it. The Golden Dragon King also explained. So that's the case. Xiao Yan was also stunned. Xiao Yan also nodded, indicating that his master, the Golden Dragon King, understood, and after a few minutes, a yellowed scroll appeared on Xiao Yan's finger. The yellowed scroll seemed to have existed for quite a few years, and just after it appeared in Xiao Yan's hands, Xiao Yan felt a strange wave within the scroll. Xiao Yan tried to open the somewhat yellowed scroll with his backhand, but he was helpless, because no matter what Xiao Yan did, he couldn't open it. In desperation, Xiao Yan was also gradually defeated, and then his pupils shrank tightly, and a slightly milky white flame appeared on his fingertips. As soon as the milky white flame appeared, it was slowly attached to the yellowish scroll under Xiao Yan's control. Boom, boom, boom. Let the terrifying milky white flame burn on its scroll. The yellowish scroll is also motionless. At this time, Xiao Yan also frowned. Obviously, he had never encountered such a situation before, and he immediately became thoughtful. Seeing that the milky white flame was useless, Xiao Yan also put it away, and then the terrifying soul power in the soul realm spewed out. Since you can't open it with bare hands, and the flames in your body can't burn, then the power of your soul can always be opened. Xiao Yan thought so in his heart. The Golden Dragon King floating in the air, I cast his gaze on the yellowish scroll, and then I couldn't help but murmured after seeing Xiao Yan's thoughts and ideas that he didn't open. Why does it smell familiar? Contrary to Xiao Yan's expectations, even the huge soul force did not open the yellowish scroll, and then Xiao Yan calmed down and checked the scroll carefully. The yellowish scroll should have existed for a long time, because Xiao Yan's eyesight naturally discovered that the scroll was originally supposed to be silver, but now it has turned yellow, obviously because of time. On the scroll, a thin thread slowly wrapped around it, and then it was such a thin thread, but it made Xiao Yan devastated. Hearing this, Xiao Yan also looked at the master floating in the air with great interest. Actually, it's easy to open this thing. It only takes a drop of your blood. The Golden Dragon King also smiled at Xiao Yan's impatient look. Yeah, Xiao Yan was also stunned. Then Xiao Yan gritted his teeth, a drop of blood appeared on his finger, and then swept away towards the yellowish scroll NOVLB //C//OM. The blood just fell on the yellowish scroll. The yellowish scroll seemed to be guided, and the thin thread wrapped around it slowly opened. An ancient breath permeated the cave. It is said that there are some strong or ancient things that need to drop blood to recognize their masters, so it is different from the method you used before. The Golden Dragon King also explained. When Xiao Yan heard this, he also laughed. Then he also stared carefully at the yellowed scroll in front of him, and a huge light group appeared in the cave accompanied by an ancient aura. The light group vaguely turned into a phantom figure, and then the pair of eyes slowly opened, and a terrifying aura like a sleeping dragon also emanated from his body. Xiao Yan was also stunned by this terrifying aura. After all, neither the Yueyu he had seen before nor the Cyan woman before, the aura on his body was not so strong, just a residual aura would not be so strong. So terrifying. I can't imagine how powerful this peak moment in front of me will be. The Golden Dragon King was also staring at the empty figure in front of him in amazement. If something went wrong, he would shoot. Hey, after waiting for so many years, I finally met someone who barely passed the test. The figure of nothingness also spoke slightly, and then looked at Xiao Yan with interest. Senior, this is... Xiao Yan also asked in surprise. I have waited for tens of thousands of years in order to pass on my mantle. Void figure slowly said. Hearing this, Xiao Yan was also overjoyed, because there are always some arrogant strong men in this world. They are hidden from the world. When they are damaged, they will record what they have learned in their life, and then they will not let their unique skills disappear. World. Hearing this, the Golden Dragon King also felt relieved. Although the powerful Emperor-level, mortal-level soul power, although the spiritual power is still developing, it is still reluctant. Okay, let's not talk nonsense anymore. I don't have much time. I'm a battle formation master. The nihilistic figure also said. A Do formation master? Xiao Yan shook his head in surprise. Obviously he didn't know very well that he came from the lower realm. How is that possible? The Golden Dragon King was also shocked. However, although the Golden Dragon King was also floating in midair, the emptiness seemed to have not been noticed. After speaking, he calmed down, as if giving Xiao Yang some time to think. On the Do-Di continent, the only main theme is to cultivate Do-Chi, but on top of this, there are 4 sub-professionals. Apothecary Master, Poison Master, Foundry Master, Battle Formation Master. The Golden Dragon King also looked at Xiao Yang with a blank expression. Alchemists, as the name implies, are able to refine all kinds of magical medicine pills, and their status is extremely prominent in Do-Di continent. Moreover, they have an extremely powerful appeal, and high-level pharmacists are almost always responding, because no matter who they are, they can hope that the pharmacist can owe them a favor. If there is a need in the future, the pharmacist is also willing to make a medicinal pill for it, otherwise it would be more difficult for ordinary people to make a high-level medicinal pill than to ascend to the sky. However, the requirements for becoming a pharmacist are extremely harsh. Normal people only have one type of attribute, while a pharmacist must have 2 types, and their own attributes must belong to fire, and the fire must be mixed with a trace of wood energy for catalytic effect, and there must be excellent soul perception, 3 conditions for refining medicine: material, fire, and soul perception. The material is all kinds of heaven and earth treasures. The fire can be Do-Chi flame or animal fire, preferably the fire the venerable fire, or the holy flame like the overlord of heaven and earth. Poison Master combines Miao Border Jiu technique with poison technique, insect control technique, divided into Poison Master and Jiu Master. Poison Master uses all kinds of strange poison to attack the enemy through the mysterious use of poison. Killing people is an invisible terror, while Jiu Masters use Jiu techniques to heal wounds and prolong their lives, all in the midst of applause, and can control 5 kinds of Jiu insects, such as Holy Scorpion, Jade Toad, Spirit Snake, Wind Centipede, and Sky Spider, which are not passed down to Miao Jiang. Secret skills. Forgers rely on their own strength to forge magical weapons. People call them founders, and it is said that they can condense the energy of heaven and earth into strange runes, and these runes, because of their different structures, have with different abilities. If a rune is inscribed, the weapon's toughness and sharpness will be upgraded to a new level. The legendary fairy artifact is from the hand of the foundry. As for the Battle Formation Master, it only existed in ancient times, and I haven't seen it for many years. However, one thing is certain, among these 4 professions, Do Formation Master is undoubtedly the most powerful. The Golden Dragon King kept explaining to Xiao Yang. Then Xiao Yang was a little surprised when he heard it. No wonder they were Do Formation Masters. They encountered many forms of formation in the ruins. The so-called Battle Formation Master is to rely on the strength in his body to activate the spiritual formation, thus forming a means of attacking and defending. The spiritual formation needs to depict the core inscription. The more powerful the spiritual formation, the more there are also more core inscriptions, but once such a spiritual formation is provoked, the power will be no trivial matter. However, the Do Formation Master is powerful, but the most basic thing to get started with is mental power. The Golden Dragon King also spoke slowly. Mental power? Xiao Yang was at a loss. Obviously, he only knew that he had soul power. As for that mental power, he had never heard of it. It's normal. After all, these are ancient secrets. It's normal that you don't know, but soul power and spiritual power are completely different. Just like your left and right hands, the soul power is the left hand, then the spiritual power is the right hand, and the 2 complement each other. It seems that I found a treasure this time. The Golden Dragon King also laughed. Hearing this, Xiao Yang also opened his eyes and stared at the empty figure in front of him. Xiao Yang was surprised at first. He didn't expect to have such amazing 4 major occupations. He had never heard of casting masters and Do Formation Masters on Do-Chi continent before. Here on Do-Di continent, it really wasn't on Do-Chi continent. Comparable. Do-Chi cultivation has led to many side branches, and this Do Formation Master is one of them. However, this profession not only needs a certain amount of strength to support it, but also requires extraordinarily strict spiritual power. Therefore, the other 3 occupations are relatively scarce occupations. Senior, please enlighten me. After a little thought, Xiao Yang said respectfully with both hands clenched. What a polite little guy. The nihilistic figure also said after being silent for a while. Xiao Yang also looked at the empty figure in front of him in a trance. Although he didn't know the exact strength of the Golden Dragon King, he thought that he was standing at the peak of the Great Thousand World just like his master Tuor Shagudi, and he made his master, who had always been high-handed and low-handed. The Golden Dragon King can also praise so much, which can only show the strength of the fighting formation master in front of him. Moreover, what Xiao Yang needs is really strong strength, in order to find the unsolved mysteries of his family, and to find his wife. In this strange Do-Di continent, he needs his own efforts. Although Xiao Yang has a burning decision, he can devour Sheng Yang to greatly increase his strength, but after all, Sheng Yang is too precious. So far Xiao Yang has no news, so Xiao Yang is also impatient. It's not easy to become a battle formation master. Although you have barely achieved your mental strength, the pain in it won't be the slightest bit. The shadowy figure also muttered worriedly. Senior, don't worry, no matter how difficult it is, I will persevere. Xiao Yang also smiled slightly. Xiao Yang suffered from the humiliation of breaking off his marriage on the Dochi continent, and he already possessed extraordinary determination. Then, by chance, he met his master, Venerable Medicine. Xiao Yang's willpower has been strengthened, so no matter how much suffering, Xiao Yang is not afraid. The so-called fighting formation master is to use mental power to describe scrolls, which is somewhat similar to the fighting skill scrolls. Most of the scrolls used to record fighting skills are the furs of some high-level magical beasts, but the production of fighting skill scrolls is to record their cultivation methods. On top of it, the scrolls used by the battle formation masters are more precious, and the scrolls used by the formation masters to record the formations will only be white. Not only that, in addition to these basics, core inscriptions need to be engraved on the scrolls used by the formation masters. The more core inscriptions are engraved, the more powerful the formation will be. A true formation mage can besiege millions of troops in an instant. Looking at your huge soul power already reaching the mortal level of the Emperor realm, the spiritual power and the soul power complement each other, or you can reach the supreme realm in the future. Speaking of which, I am looking forward to your future achievements. After all, I was just cultivating my spiritual power back then, and I forgot about my soul power. The void figure also spoke slowly. After Xiao Yang heard these words word for word, Xiao Yang was only deeply shocked. The time is limited, let's condense the inscription of life for you first. Void figure also said. Just after the void figure finished speaking, the old fingers slowly lifted up, and then a white light reached Xiao Yang's mind. Relax. The nihilistic figure also found that the soul force in Xiao Yang's body seemed to be resisting, and the white light above his fingers was difficult to move, and then he said, "Yeah." Xiao Yang also responded. The white light came straight to his head. Xiao Yang just felt that the soul power in his body seemed to meet an enemy, and he frantically resisted. Xiao Yang was also stunned by this sudden action, and then frantically suppressed the huge soul force that was about to move. The white light also saw that the soul power in the latter's body seemed to be temporarily suppressed, and it also slowly disappeared into Xiao Yang's mind. As the white light entered, Xiao Yang, who was originally calm, also shrank his pupils tightly, because he felt that the seemingly inconspicuous white light burst into his mind with a monstrous power. When the white light entered a place called Niwen Palace next to Xiao Yang's soul realm, a terrifying wave erupted, and Xiao Yang's calm face was also hideous. In the Niwen Palace, the place that was originally the size of a finger suddenly grew stronger under the slow development of the white light. Every time the white light revolved in Xiao Yang's body, Xiao Yang's eyes became fierce. As time passed by, Xiao Yang's veins had already burst out, and his eyes were bloodshot. Now the training methods of Do formation masters have been lost for a long time. If you can't hold on to it, give up. The figure of nothingness also said. No. Use. Xiao Yang also gritted his teeth and spat out a few words, and then there were different degrees of bleeding from his teeth, nose, and mouth. Hey! The Golden Dragon King also looked at Xiao Yang's appearance, and then his eyes couldn't help but think of himself. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. Accompanied by the small and pitiful spiritual power in the Niwen Palace revolving and accelerating, a peculiar voice also echoed in his mind. Bang bang bang. With 3 weak voices, Xiao Yang's Niwen Palace also opened up a place that was enough to accommodate the inscription of life. Xiao Yang's eyebrows jumped violently. The so-called method of opening up is the most important way to become a Do formation master, because only when his mental power has truly condensed into an inscription of life, can he truly call it a fighter. Would you like to take a break? Xiao Yang was relieved that the space in Xiao Yang's body that was large enough to accommodate the inscription of his destiny had been opened up. No need, do your best. Xiao Yang also said. The void figure also nodded with satisfaction. Condensing the inscriptions of life requires a lot of effort. Then a pair of old palms slowly lifted up, and a pure white mysterious rune also appeared in front of Xiao Yang. Just as the white mysterious rune appeared, Xiao Yang felt that there was a supreme power standing in front of him. Because Xiao Yang felt the slightest solidification in the depths of his soul. Too strong. The evaluation given by Xiao Yang is, this inscription is called divine movement. Although it's only a quarter of the divine inscription, if you cultivate it, then you won't have any problems dealing with Dozian. As for the other three, I don't know. Wherever you are, you will naturally meet if you have fate, and you can't force it if you don't. Shrink your soul power, the inscription of your life is about to enter your body, the void figure also shouted loudly. Hearing that, Xiao Yang also compressed all the huge soul power in his body into his soul realm. The Niwen Palace, which is opposite to the soul realm, also slowly trembled, as if he was very happy to see that white rune. Boom boom boom. As soon as the white rune touched Xiao Yang's forehead, the clan lines on Xiao Yang's forehead burst out, as if resisting the entry of the white rune. Could this Taoist language be? The nihilistic figure also widened his eyes and looked at the ethnic pattern on Xiao Yang's forehead. Seeing this, Xiao Yang was also surprised that he didn't find the empty figure in front of him, and then his mind moved, and the clan pattern became silent. Without the resistance of the clan marks, the white rune entered the body smoothly. Just after entering the Niwen Palace in Xiao Yang's body, the soul realm on the side also erupted with monstrous power, because in Xiao Yang's perception, with the white life when the inscription entered the Niwen Palace, the originally huge soul realm was divided into two. So no wonder no matter how Xiao Yang suppressed that terrifying soul power. Damn it! Xiao Yang also noticed that this soul force was madly resisting the entry of the white inscription of destiny. If he did not deal with the soul force of this confrontation, then Xiao Yang's body would be exploded and killed by these two terrifying forces. Damn, I still don't believe it. Since it's the power I cultivated, how can it be reverse? Xiao Yang also shrank his pupils tightly, and then his body covered his body with Do Qi, and his body and mind were also controlled by the crazy soul power in his body. Boom boom boom. Xiao Yang also tried his best to suppress the soul power in his body, but the soul power in his body has also reached the Emperor Realm mortal level, and the soul power is strong to a certain extent, so naturally he will not give up the territory of the soul realm. NOVLB//jn.c///om. Go back to me. Xiao Yang was obviously also angry. This soul power could not be suppressed by eating, so what would happen if his body was indestructible like this? The huge soul power in Xiao Yang's body also fell silent under his extreme control, and then the white divine inscription was slowly imprinted in the Niwen Palace. The Shandong inscription seal had just arrived in the Niwen Palace, and it was obviously as if he had arrived at his own home. Although the strong mental pressure landed on Xiao Yang's mind at first, it was also fleeting. Xiao Yang was also panting heavily. This seemingly simple moment made Xiao Yang sweat profusely. Only Xiao Yang knows what he has experienced. Although he does not know the level of the so-called magical inscription seal, when he entered Xiao Yang's body, Xiao Yang was dazzled and fascinated. He could feel it from the divine moving inscription seal. This decision is not trivial. Originally, I thought that the huge soul power in your body could be suppressed by some other means. After all, we did not have a precedent for dual cultivation of soul power and spiritual power before, but I didn't expect you to suppress it. Void Figure also said slowly, obviously this will also improve Xiao Yang's evaluation. The next step is to inscribe the core inscription. Then, this thing can prey on disposable things, remember to put it away every time you cast the formation, otherwise there should be very few things in the world now. As he spoke, a white scroll appeared in his hand. By urging the divine movement seal in your body, you can engrave core inscriptions on this scroll, but how many core inscriptions can be engraved depends on the strength of your mental power. However, the power of the soul is the power of the soul, and the power of the soul is not the power of the soul. In my opinion, it is good to condense a few. The figure of nothingness also said, obviously this is not to underestimate Xiao Yang, after all, Xiao Yang is a spiritual power. Neither practice. Hearing that, Xiao Yang also closed his eyes and rested his mind, and then slowly moved the divine movement that had just calmed down. Xiao Yan's mental power slowly flowed out along the Niwen Palace, and then moved towards the white scroll in front of him. Mental power is invisible and colorless, and it is exactly the same as soul power, but Xiao Yan feels that the relationship between the two is not so simple. With the core inscription. The appearance of a core inscription made a strong aura of confusion on the white scroll. With the passage of time, another core inscription appeared. When there were 100 inscriptions, Xiao Yang's forehead was also covered with sweat. After all, Xiao Yang's mental power was also weak and pitiful. To be able to condense 100 core inscriptions for the first time, the nihilistic figure was also surprised. You must know that in the ancient times, the first time to condense 50 core inscriptions was a person with outstanding talent. Condensed a full 100, how to make him not surprised? Hoo. Xiao Yang also looked at the 100 core inscriptions on the white scroll, and nodded with satisfaction, and then the avatar in his soul realm was instantly summoned, and he also wanted to try this first cohesion. How powerful is the power of the attack formation that comes out? The avatar Xiao Yang just appeared, and then the dull eyes also regained their brilliance. Seeing this, Xiao Yang waved the white scroll in his hand, and then shrouded Xiao Yang towards his clone. The white scroll just enveloped the avatar Xiao Yang, and it enveloped the surrounding space of hundreds of meters. A strong aura appeared, and then viciously attacked the avatar Xiao Yang. The seemingly terrifying attack came on Xiao Yang's body, and it was like a vase. It seems that if you want to trap a 3-star Do Emperor peak or a 4-star Do Emperor powerhouse, you need at least 1,000 core inscriptions. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also put away his avatar, and then looked at the formation in front of him and muttered to himself. But it's really good, it's just a bit of mental energy. Xiao Yang clapped his palms, and while he was amazed, he was a little regretful. If his mental power was like soul power, if he was more tyrannical, maybe he would be able to fly in the sky like those legendary powerhouses, killing them in a flash. Millions of enemies. Now, I am afraid that there are not many core inscriptions condensed, and their spiritual power will be exhausted. Putting away the white scroll, it is obviously not a one-time use thing, it can be used continuously, and it is also a precious thing. Then Xiao Yang observed the natal moving seal in the Niwen Palace. The seal is currently suspended in the Niwen Palace, but the seal looks too vague and bleak. Obviously, it is still a little uncomfortable to accommodate Xiao Yang's body just now, and it is only a quarter of the time, so this needs to be done. Xiao Yang's training for a long time can be regarded as a complete solidification of the life seal. Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile when he looked at the seal of life in the Niwen Palace. From now on, he can also be regarded as a formal fighting formation master, but obviously he is not interested in engraving armors or weapons. He is not very interested, but he is very concerned about the magical effect of mental power. This thing, like the owner in the ruins before, is easy to use for trapping people and killing people. Moreover, if he cultivated to the depths, he would not be weaker than some strong fighters who cultivated Do Chi, and waving his hand to kill is just a matter of thought. However, compared to the real fighting spirit, mental power and soul power are obviously more illusory. If there is no talent in this area, I am afraid it is really difficult to make any progress. The cultivation of spiritual power, talent, is the most important, which is why the illusory figure is so moved when he sees the spiritual talent in Xiao Yang's body. Senior, how do you cultivate spiritual power? And are there any ranks of spiritual power warriors? After thinking about it, he took back his spiritual power and the white scroll, and asked softly. The cultivation of spiritual power mainly relies on will. Before the empty figure could finish speaking, it dissipated in this cave. Xiao Yang also bowed to the vanishing figure, and then looked depressed. This video will end here.